Hey, this is Walter Jones.
This is Austin St. John.
And you're listening to
Ranger Danger.
Go Ranger Danger. Go Ranger Danger. Go Ranger Danger. Matt and Michael's Ranger Danger.
Welcome once again to Mighty Morphin Ranger Danger, the podcast where we fight to protect a world that hates and fears us. Is that it? Is that what we do?
I think you got us confused with the X-Men.
Right. No. We are the show where we watch an episode of the television series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then after that we discuss it.
Could we be the X-Men instead?
I don't think so. I think there's a few genetic problems with that plan.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Don't let your genes stop you, baby.
Look, I saw Gattaca. I know that it's wrong to sort of tell people what they should be doing based on their genes, but I think in this case we can make an exception because I can't shoot lasers out of my eyes.
The only thing I remember from Gattaca is the part where they swim, and apparently that is a very small part of the film.
I do not remember that part of the film.
Exactly, no one remembers
between the
it.
two of you, you both remember that.
That's right. So, as you might have guessed, I'm Matt, I'm here.
I'm always Michael.
Michael is here. And
Except for when I'm Doctor Dangerous. I was trying to
Wow,
X-Men.
well done.
Let's just... Okay, shut up.
Dr. Dangerous.
I don't know. These things come from deep inside me. I don't know where they come from.
Yeah, I
Maybe
bet
you
they
should
do.
keep
I
them.
bet deep inside you're really Dr. Dangerous. We also have a first-time guest, Angharad. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Now, we have a very important tradition when we have a new guest on the show.
Okay.
We need you to tell us, and by extension the people who listen to the podcast, because that's how this system works, about your first experience with Power Rangers.
My first experience, gosh.
We should warn people about this question so they think
No.
about it.
No.
Not at all. You gotta be put on the spot.
It's very important.
I don't know about first because everything from my childhood is a jumble in my mind.
Okay.
But I very vividly remember being very much in love with the way that not only the Power Rangers clumped together into, I don't even know what it's called anymore, into their old mate big guy.
The Megazord?
Yes. And
But Old Mate Big Guy's definitely a bit of
old
name
mate
for
big
that.
guy, pretty close. And just the way that everything kind of had a gelatinous wobble to it.
Okay.
You're in luck because I think that there's going to be a very good old mate big guy this episode.
Oh, old mate.
Because we've hit the first episode of the actual Die Ranger footage.
Oh, excellent. So we'll get to see some real Megazord fights.
Yep.
Thank fuck. Okay, so can you remember what era of Power Rangers it was when you were watching it, maybe? What was
Ooh.
the big robot?
Yeah,
was it
there
made
was a
of
big robot.
dinosaurs, or is it made
No.
of cars?
Cars.
Cars. All right.
Cars was the one.
Power Rangers Turbo it is.
So was it that old mate big guy?
Yeah, old
Yeah,
mate big
okay.
guy.
Okay.
Ah!
So, for our listeners, Michael just pointed at his
Turbo Megazord.
original Turbo Megazord, which we have
That's the
here
one!
for convenient reference.
Yep.
Yeah. So you don't get to see that one today, so don't get your hopes
That's
up too
fine.
much.
We're not going to get to him for a long
Time. But I can tell you the one you'll see today, much better.
Okay.
Mike.
I don't know, those cars were pretty special.
They were special. That's definitely true. Now, Michael, before we watch today's episode, which
Yes.
is episode number 74,
Yep.
entitled Missing Green,
Yep.
we've got some emails.
Yeah, before we get to those, I'll just bring them up. Where can people find us?
We have a website, in fact, on the internet.
Really?
The actual internet?
The one and only
The
internet.
series of tubes, that one.
Yeah. There's a lot of
So
tubes.
which tube do they have to go to?
Well, look, to get to it, you can choose your own tube. I don't want to tell people which tubes they should tube. But as long as you go through a tube and end up at www.rangerdangerpodcast.com, you'll have gotten to where you want to be. Because that's where we have our show notes, we have our monster list, allegedly.
Look, it's definitely there. It's just hiding.
It's just hard to find. And a few other bits and pieces that you might like. If you want to send us an email like the ones we're about to read out, we're rangerdangerpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook and iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube. And if you'd like to send us a Twitter tweet, you have to aim your Twitter machine at RangerDcast. That's us.
We also have a shop.
Yep.
rangerdangerpodcast.com/shop. We've got mugs now.
Yep.
I put mugs up last night. We might have
Excellent.
pillows.
Yeah.
I think I want to do pillows tonight.
I got some Society 6 cushions.
I think
Pretty
you
cool.
should put something slightly creepy on the pillows. Just to...
We could definitely do like someone's crutch or something. Oh, they don't really
Yeah.
have any crutches.
No, they're all like torso up.
All right, well, we'll figure out something. Maybe
figure
like
something out.
like a nipple-centered shot.
Yeah.
That'd be the way to
We'll
go.
have a good nipple.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
It's an important part of life.
Okay, so
For multiple reasons. From birth to adulthood. Emails?
to our emails. I'll give you that first one. It's
All right.
from Rick, who
Okay.
sent us some emails, and just last week sent us a great illustration he did when he was a child.
It was fantastic. On Facebook, we saw that one.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Rick. All right, I'm going to open up the space dumpster. Okay, now let me reach in as deep as I can and pull out an email. All right, so this is Rick's email. It says, "You guys," all in caps. Okay, so I have to say, the subject of this email is fan mail to Green with fan mail, which is pretty great. So Rick says, "You guys, I'm worried about the reboot movie. It's supposed to be out in a year and a half."
Let's clarify, he doesn't mean the reboot movie, which
No.
is close to my heart. He means the Power Rangers reboot movie.
That's right. Which isn't a crossover between those two
No,
franchises.
disappointingly.
Yeah. I'm worried about the reboot movie. It's supposed to be out in a year and a half, and there still haven't been any cast or director announcements. Now, you and I were talking about the other day, weren't we, Michael?
Yeah, and hold on, because I've done some research.
Okay.
But if you just get to the end of the email, I'll
Yep.
bring it up.
I guess it's good news that the hack 9/11 truther Robert Orkey left. But I wonder what's happening with the movie right now. Can they start pre-production, find a cast, film a movie, and do giant robot effects in a year and a half? Please reassure me that everything's fine. I need my color-coordinated superhero fix. Really excited about the twice-a-week updates. Might even have to start watching Dino Charge. You should do that.
Yeah.
So, Michael, you're doing research.
I did some research. So this email came through this morning, and I
Yep.
thought I'd do some research. So the three movie franchises that are name-checked in the reboot movie press release
Yep.
are The Hunger Games,
Yep.
Twilight,
Yep.
and Divergent.
Yep.
Because they're all franchises that Lionsgate had a hand in.
Yeah.
So what I did was, we haven't even heard about a director yet.
Yep.
So I thought I'll go back to production for those films
Yep.
and try and figure out, like,
The timeline.
the
there.
timeline of those and how realistic it is that we haven't heard anything yet. So, for all three of those movies, the director was announced between 13 and 19 months
Okay.
before the film came out.
Yep.
So, we're at about 18 months now.
So it's not
So,
out of the ordinary.
it's not out of the
time,
ordinary
yeah.
for us to not have heard about a director yet. I think, certainly if we haven't heard anything in the next few months, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But at this stage, I wouldn't be panicking. Then the casts were announced about a year before the movie comes out. My guess here would be Comic-Con this year.
Because that is basically...
It's almost exactly a year before.
Yeah.
It's the place to do it.
Yeah.
Certainly if they're not announcing at Comic-Con, because it's already released beforehand, I'd be amazed if there's not the cast at a panel.
Yeah.
I'd be, like, properly surprised. Then filming typically goes for about 3 months, ending about 6 months before the movie comes out. So I think filming probably October through January, something
That's a pretty
like
short shoot for a blockbuster film.
that. It's the shoot for all of those films.
That's crazy. Okay. There you go.
Some of them went longer than others, but yeah, generally...
What you're forgetting also is that they can just take footage of other people in suits and splice it into the film.
That's true. They could basically have a B unit running
Exactly.
the whole time.
I do think it will be a very much...
Yeah.
Especially a film that they can do a lot of CG work while production is happening, and then kind of blend that all together.
I would send them all of my money if they did the Megazord stuff in stop motion instead of CG. Like, that would...
That would be so good.
Now, when you say all of your money,
It's not a lot. Definitely
Yeah.
not enough to make that happen.
they're probably going to be like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's $20. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing the CG and pay someone a real wage for a day.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's our podcast money. That's what we made from the podcast.
that's $20 more than we've made from the podcast. So yeah, I definitely think at this stage, I wouldn't be panicking.
Yeah.
If it gets to June and nothing's happened, I think that would be unusual, and we'd probably be looking at them pushing the release date back. But Matthew Vaughn did put out X-Men First Class in 9 months.
Yeah, but he did that because I think it was Bryan Singer said, no, that's too short a time period.
Yeah, someone dropped out and said, we cannot make a film this quickly.
Yeah, I think it was Bryan. And even Matthew Vaughn said, I did it, but it was uncomfortable. It
Yeah.
was hard work to make that happen.
I think he'd be not a terrible choice for this film.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting choice.
I'm sure that's what he wants to hear. You are not a terrible choice.
Well, I think he's quite a good director, and I've enjoyed a lot of his work.
Oh, true, but maybe not the
I
perfect
just
fit for this.
think, fit-wise. Like, I love Edgar Wright, but as much as I want to see an Edgar Wright Power Rangers movie...
That wouldn't be what they want to
Yeah,
produce.
I don't think that's the movie that they want to make.
Like, it would be an amazing film, but it would be for us. It would not be...
It would be a film for Michael.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, they could make a few more of those. That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next email is from RJ.
Do you want to pull this one out for me, Michael?
I am.
Yep. You don't be a bear when you pull
I
it,
make
Michael.
bad noises when I lift things. This is a very long email.
Okay.
So he took our Once a Ranger team challenge.
Yep.
He's created 2 teams.
Yep.
And he sent through what must be like 1,000 words justifying those 2 teams.
Okay.
So what I think might be better is if you read out the teams.
Yep.
And then we can kind of talk about that and
Okay.
maybe not read the entire email on air.
Okay.
So if you want to do that. So to fill you in quickly, there's a team up where they pulled back Rangers from old seasons.
Right.
And we challenged our listeners to come up with kind of the best thing they could.
Right.
Okay. So, he said for Pink Ranger, it'd be Shelby from Dino Charge.
Yep.
Which is interesting because we haven't seen Shelby from Dino Charge yet.
By now we will have.
Ah, yes, that's right.
Because we're recording in the space-time continuum.
In the future. You can't see, but Michael's waving his hands around.
I'm doing like time-space hands.
That's the gesticulation that represents the
Is
space.
that not mime hands? Is that...
No, that's... My hands are...
Much
Oh,
more
right.
firm.
Right.
I'm so glad you're doing this on our podcast. Thank you, Michael.
Hey, it's, you know, audio. That's what it's for.
Red, Carter from Lightspeed Rescue. That's a solid pick. I quite like Carter. Lightspeed Rescue is a good season. Blue, Tori from Ninja Storm. That's interesting because Tori was actually one of the Once a Ranger
Yep.
Rangers in the actual episode. Green, Mike from Samurai. Having not seen Samurai, I'll just assume that's a good pick. Black, Jake from Megaforce. Okay, that's a pick. Purple / 6th Ranger is RJ from Jungle Fury.
Sure.
Interesting. Haven't seen Jungle Fury either. And Gold / Yellow Ranger would be Aisha from Mighty Morphin. Again, interesting choice. I'm perfectly neutral on Aisha as a Power Ranger, as we've discussed.
Yeah, we discussed this during the week.
Yeah.
What's the spectrum for you?
Well, so I have a spectrum on how much I like Power Rangers, and it's perfectly laid out by the 3 new Power Rangers we're going to get in a few episodes, because I think that Rocky, the Red Ranger we're about to get, is the worst Ranger of all time.
I need to explain to you guys, for the last 3 months, Matt has just been very upset at Rocky. I think probably for the last 20 years, Matt has been very upset with Rocky. But just every time he comes up, Matt is not happy. Do you guys remember, 70 episodes ago, how shitty Matt got at Jason all the time? And over 70 episodes, Matt has learned to love him? That's not going to happen with Rocky.
No. So, Rocky is the worst Ranger, and then the second Ranger we get of the new one is Aisha, who's the perfect middle point.
You have no
feelings one way or the other. She's, perfectly acceptable. And then we also get Adam, who's my favourite Ranger of all time. So in those 3 Rangers, we get the whole gamut of Rangers. So yeah, that was...
Well, you need someone in the middle, in your team, because you need that person that, if it were easy to save them, you would, but you could really let them go. Because if you have all people that you love...
It's going to be very traumatizing for you.
That's true. If they kidnap 2 people...
You want to know which one you're going to save.
That's fair.
Unless they switch them in The Dark Knight, and then you have a really...
What if they kidnapped Rocky and Aisha? You'd be like,
yeah, it's fine.
Let's go take out Golgo instead.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to get out of bed in the morning.
Jesus. I'm hoping that Matt's feelings change over time, but he's had 20 years and they haven't, so...
So the second list that he sent through is entitled Who Runs the World? Girls. So I'm very excited for this list. Red is the only Red Lady Ranger. Lauren for Power Rangers Samurai.
Yep.
So, good choice.
I mean, your only possible choice, but...
Yeah, I mean, you could have a white leader Ranger, because the
Sure.
leader of the Alien Rangers is white.
Yes, Delphine.
Delphine was a lady.
She's the only one whose name I remember.
Yep.
And Orico.
Orico, yeah. The Blue Ranger is Madison from Mystic Force, or, Tori from Ninja Storm, as it was the last list. Yellow is Katie from Time Force.
I have very vague memories of Katie from Time Force.
Pink is Dana from Lightspeed Rescue.
Dana, yep.
Yep. White is Alyssa from Wild Force.
Yep.
And the Silver Ranger is Gemma from RPM. So I would watch that team. I'm all about strong female leads.
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that list.
Yeah, there's a lot of justification of why these teams are, and I read it, and it's a very good
Well,
setup and explanation.
I
But
think
it's
maybe
just,
we could put it up on the side or something like that, if that's okay.
yeah, we might do something like that. I'll send you an email and see if we can do that.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go watch Missing Green.
Yeah, episode 74.
So last week on Power Rangers, the Green Ranger lost his power forever.
there's one other thing I have to discuss.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was doing some research between last week and this week.
You do a lot of research.
I mean, that's my job on this show. You just show up. I do all the work.
That's definitely true.
So, last week, Angharad, you weren't here, but there were these characters called the Dark Rangers.
Right.
And they were like an evil version of the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Who literally did absolutely nothing. Like, they showed up at the end of one episode, they lost their powers basically 5 minutes into the next episode, having just stood around in between.
They sound a bit useless.
Oh, they made us
most
very
useless.
angry.
Yeah.
So, what I discovered, Matt,
Yeah.
is that there was going to be a fight between the Power Rangers and the Dark Rangers. But the Dark Rangers' costumes were so shit that they wouldn't hold up to the fight.
That is amazing.
So they couldn't, they'd just have
That
fallen
is-
apart if they tried to do Kung Fu in them.
That's the best possible news. They should have just done it anyway and then stripped down naked and been like, we are
Here we go,
Dark
kids.
Rangers.
You're watching
Shit's
a
gonna
very
get
different
dark.
show to us, I think. So I'm not sure if that makes it better or worse, necessarily.
I feel like if you're going to write a scene, make sure you can afford to make the costumes for the scene before you commit to filming it.
That certainly seems reasonable.
You would think that, but having worked in television, no.
No.
All right,
We're going to go watch Missing Green, episode 74 of Mighty Morphin
We're
Power
going to go
Rangers.
see how much they're missing green.
Yep.
Do you think Tommy's going to be in it?
I suspect so, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. You could watch at home if you'd like. If you want to legally purchase an episode of the show, you can do that and watch along with us. If not, we'll be back in a moment. And we're back. We just watched Missing Green.
Yep.
Well, as far as these things go, that was a pretty decent episode of...
I have to ask a
Was
question.
it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're comparing it to good television.
Right.
I have to ask a question. Based on the episode we just saw, which Power Ranger was Tommy dating?
Jason.
That's definitely the vibe of this episode.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm sure they prefer to think of it as a bromance. But, speaking of gay characters, how gay are those villains?
Pretty gay. That'd be
like-
Bulk and Scott that you're referring to there.
Yeah. When I say gay, I mean actually homosexual with one another.
That's-
And maybe slightly into BDSM.
Yeah, no, that certainly fits their MO. It's definitely come up on the podcast before.
Will we take this one from the top?
Absolutely.
Okay, so first of all, Tommy's still in the opening credits
Yes, he is.
as the Green Ranger. I have to assume that he'll be sticking around for a while, maybe?
Well, there's only, 3 episodes until he, spoiler warning, returns as the
There's
White
a few
Ranger?
more than that. It's a while away, I
Is
think. I think
I
so.
don't think it is. Anyway. Yeah, so that's the opening credits. And where do we open the episode?
Alright, so Jason is training for an upcoming karate tournament.
Yeah.
He can't concentrate without Tommy,
Because every time he goes to hit one of his training dummies,
which are green.
which are green, Tommy appears before him looking sullen.
In
Which is-
like ghostly form.
Yeah, which is supposed to be sad, is instead hilarious.
The reason it's hilarious is I was actually thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great if he appeared in ghostly form right there? And then
And
he
then it
does.
does, yeah. It's definitely the most literal expression of that idea.
Yeah. I'm missing him, so I'm seeing him there as a ghost.
Yeah. What I like is that the tournament's like a couple hours away and he thinks that training now is what's going to push him over the edge into winning.
They do a lot of training.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of tournaments that don't really seem to follow any kind of sensible tournament structure.
I know this is jumping a bit to the end, but the tournament was also held in the juice bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where everything
Like,
happens. There's
I-
3 places in Angel Grove.
At this tournament he's training for is the Golden Pipe tournament.
Yep.
That doesn't sound legit.
Yeah.
Like, what? What Golden, what?
And he was also the only competitor.
That didn't seem to be the case.
Okay, so he's missing Tommy. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Zach says, you miss him. And Jason says, it's more than that.
Yeah, it is.
No, Jason's blaming himself because of the stuff that happened way back in the Green Candle.
Yeah,
like
which is-
20 episodes ago.
A surprising amount of continuity for this show.
Yep.
In a show that, like, is barely consistent week to week, referring to something that happened,
many, many months ago.
yeah, is extremely surprising.
But, you know, so basically what he's saying is if Tommy hadn't lost his powers the first time,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have lost his powers the second time.
Which is kind of a long bow to draw, really.
Yeah, sure.
But I understand that when you're feeling guilty, you can
Yep.
sort of be unfair on
Or
yourself.
when it's your lover on the line.
That's right, yeah.
If you took this episode without having seen a previous episode, the idea that Tommy had been dating Kimberly, not Jason, would seem ridiculous.
Yeah.
That does seem ridiculous.
See?
She also was not torn up at all.
No, she's coping pretty well.
Yeah. Like, Jason was much more distraught at Tommy's disappearance.
So, Lord Zed has a black, yellow, blue, and pink candle.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a red one. There was a whole thing with the green... The reason the green candle made sense is that it was...
Air quote sense.
It made Power Rangers sense. Is that it was part of the ritual to give the Green Ranger his powers.
That Rita Repulsa did.
That Rita did. And Tommy had touched it, so it had like a connection to him.
Yeah.
And when it burnt out, he'd lose his powers.
Yeah.
That made enough sense for this show.
Yeah.
The idea that Lord Zed has 4 other candles is...
Yeah, it's brought out of nowhere and isn't really explained.
They didn't have to touch the wax. There was a whole thing about how it would only work because Tommy had touched the wax.
Yeah.
In my mind, there's a hidden backstory in which he set up a candle shop,
Yeah.
had a range of candles, had a big opening so they'd come through and touch everything, and just did it that way.
They had to cut that episode out
Yeah.
because it wasn't, involved.
Because
There was no monster fight, it was just
Exactly.
some houseware shopping.
Exactly. It was a lot of business, and it
Yeah.
just it made him seem a little bit too soft opening up a candle store. So he was kind of like, doesn't fly with.
Can
the
I
candle shop.
genuinely say, though, the idea of a Power Rangers villain opening up a candle shop to get the Power Rangers to touch magic candles, not
Not that far
far-fetched.
off, yeah.
I'm sure over the years we will get many plots similar to that.
Yeah.
There was one villain, a putty patroller, who changed himself to look like a dodgy guy in a park. So he could
Basically,
sell
a travelling
Zack
hobo.
an evil, was it a ring?
Yeah.
Or evil earrings or something?
Well, I know I always like to buy my earrings from homeless men in the park.
That's
That's how you
what-
do it.
that's-
Get good discounts that
Exactly,
way. They're like the
exactly.
JB Hi-Fi jewelry.
Okay, so Kimberly's saying that Tommy's...
Before we do that, in that scene, Goldar says, "Oh, these humans, they're so loyal to each other, it's horrible." And Lord Zed says, "Oh, that's a character flaw you obviously don't share," which is the sickest bird if
Lord
you know
Zed
Goldar at all.
hates Goldar.
Yeah.
He has absolutely no interest in Goldar whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's great.
I do love how much disdain everyone has for him, and rightfully so.
This episode
Because-
may drop him even lower down our monster list.
I don't think he can go lower, but if he could, it would. Yeah.
So Kimberly's saying that Tommy's gone down to like a cabin that some of his family own or something like that.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, you know. He
Yeah.
needs some time to get away. He's on his own school break, apparently.
He has his separate school breaks to everyone else.
Um,
He's a special ranger, Michael.
That's true. So, you know, he had a rough week last week.
Yeah.
He's taken some time.
Compassion leave.
Yeah, I buy that. In this conversation, Kimberly basically reveals to Bulk and Skull that they're the Power Rangers.
It's pretty poor form.
Bulk and Skull are standing, meters behind them,
Yeah.
clearly within earshot, and she says, Ranger or no Ranger, Tommy's one of our friends and we have to look after him. And Bulk and Skull say, Ranger,
She said the word ranger.
like the Power Rangers.
They must know who the Power Rangers are.
No, that's not how that
No,
works.
it's not even that. It's then I don't want them to find out who the Power
Oh, yeah,
Rangers
no,
are
right.
before us.
That is what it is.
I understand that they're in detention all the time and are clearly failing English, but their reading comprehension is terrible. That sentence does not imply they're going to try and find out who the Power Rangers are.
No, they were handed the answer to their question on a platter and seemed to willfully choose to ignore it.
Maybe they did. Maybe they were like, yeah, but we're not going to have anything to do next week if we just know who they are.
That's right.
They might kick us off the show, so we need to keep wondering.
Yeah.
So everyone except Jason is driving down to the cabin. Jason is presumably practicing for the karate tournament some more. I don't know why no one else competes in these tournaments.
Yeah, it seems like the others could probably give it a fair go at it.
Yeah.
Because there can only be one winner, and it has to be their leader. It has to be Jason. So
That does seem fair. Like
It would not be strange for this show to have the outcome of the Karate tournament and be like, oh, all 5 of you are the winners.
because you're all the best.
Yeah.
So they're driving down.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes them old enough to drive.
Yeah, it's a pretty young age in America, though.
Sure.
Not that strange.
Um,
They're conveniently driving by the one park that we ever see. It's on the way to the cabin.
Bulk and Skull have borrowed his aunt's taxi.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love this. It has no further bearing on the episode.
None at all. No one gets in thinking it's a taxi.
No.
There's no, like, someone hailing a taxi joke. The only other car that they could rent was yellow.
Yeah, and in some, like, ADR voiceover, Bulk makes a joke about how he got to borrow his aunt's taxi, but he has to keep the meter running. Like,
It was funny.
it was,
You know? Because it's his aunt, and it's a taxi, and there's a meter.
that's about the heights of humor.
So, Lord Zed thinks this is a pretty good opportunity, and he's not wrong.
Yeah.
So there's 4 Power Rangers. He thinks, Goldar, go down and capture those 4. Conveniently, it's the 4 that we have candles for.
Yeah.
Goldar says, they're alone, they don't have Jason, that'll make it easy to capture them. Lord Zed says, nothing's that simple for you, Goldar. He's not wrong. Goldar has fucked up more shit in this show than you could possibly imagine.
He's world's worst employee.
Yeah.
He's trying.
I don't know that he is.
I don't know that he
He's
is.
actually gotten worse.
He has
over
definitely
time.
gone away.
However, he did bring them back quite easily.
Yeah, no, he is, mostly successful in this.
Well, the problem is that he has an incredible power set. He's just way too incompetent to use them. Like, he could teleport anyone he wants anywhere at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
He could probably just aim his sword at them and teleport them into the sun, for all we know.
Yeah, well, that's... So what happens is he goes down,
Yeah.
and we'll leave the Bulk and Skull stuff for later.
Yeah.
He goes down, the Rangers see him.
He says, you don't stand a chance, which, just based on the statistics we have thus far,
They stand a pretty good chance.
plainly incorrect.
Yep.
They stand the best chance.
They morph.
Yeah.
He instantly just points his sword at them and teleports them to his evil dark dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into a cage where they can't escape for some reason.
That seems like an incredibly... just teleport behind them so they don't see you.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a sword! Stab them!
Who knows?
Yeah.
And if you have a cage from which they can't escape,
Just keep them there.
yeah.
Don't do the whole thing with the candles.
Yeah.
Just wait a week and they'll be dead.
Humans, very squishy.
It's true.
That's not what happens.
No.
So let's talk about what Bulk and Skull do.
Well, this is happening. Yeah.
So they somehow don't see the Power Rangers morph.
I've figured this out. It's because their vision mimics the 4:3 ratio that the camera sees. So when they look, they don't have widescreen. They can only
I
see.
see.
Yeah.
So anything that's happening slightly to the side.
They
Slightly
cannot
out of
see.
frame. He's
Slightly
no
out of frame. It's not even there.
good. So they miss the Rangers morphing. But
They
then,
end up they hide behind a rock because they see Goldar.
Yeah.
And then they've got a camera, but it's a still camera, and they're gonna take a photo of the Power
Camcorders
Rangers.
are very expensive in those
Yeah,
days.
but they've had one in the past. And they're going to take a photo of the Power Rangers to prove that they were near the Power Rangers.
Question mark, question mark, question mark. Money.
It just... Everyone in Angel Grove has been near the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
There was, not 30 episodes ago...
They all
there
turned up
was
at the park.
a day where the Power Rangers were at the park with everybody.
Yeah.
It's just... It doesn't make any sense.
Media loves candid photos, though.
Yeah, if the Power Rangers slightly stumbling or something.
Yeah, exactly. You get a Power Ranger without their makeup on. Oh,
No good.
So look, they take the photo, but as they do, some eggs fall on them from a nest. They're just chicken eggs in the nest.
Yeah.
They're very obviously not birds' eggs. But, whatever. So they got egg on their face.
And that's it.
and
Yep.
on their camera.
I mean, they make it out like this is some big travesty that's ruined their big photo. But again, I don't understand what that would have gotten for them if they'd taken
No.
the photo anyway. But that's fine.
Well, they still think they've got the photo because then they declare that they're going to go to the 1 hour photo place
Yes.
and have them developed.
Yeah.
So, Goldar lights the coloured candles with the green candle.
Yeah.
Which almost, if they tried, I could have bought something about magic transfer, but they
If
don't...
they'd mentioned it, like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll use the remaining power from this green candle to imbue these candles with magic that... Something. Anything.
Just try, guys. Come on. So Lord Zed simultaneously creates a new monster
Yeah.
out of the Golden Pipe Karate Trophy.
He says that it's going to be a battle of wits between him and Jason.
No,
Which-
it's a battle of punching.
They never have battle of wits. They
It's not
only
even-
have punching battles.
Yeah.
Sometimes kicks.
It's barely even a battle of punching, frankly, but we'll get to that. His name is Pipe Brain, the monster.
Yes.
He's kind of creepy.
He is kind of creepy.
He's definitely a tentacle monster, and that's always weird.
He's got
Yeah.
the pipes are like curly around his head. He's got a single eye on a pipe coming
And
out
a
of his
single
chest.
mouth on another pipe.
Yeah, on a pipe that's his arm.
Yeah.
He's definitely a monster.
Yes.
So, and that's cool. I'm down for that.
Now, here's the issue. So, end of the Zoe 2 footage.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
finally up to...
I was talking to you about this on Facebook earlier
Yeah.
this week. I realised that, to explain to you, Angharad, what happened was they ran out of... Because they're adapting this from the Japanese show,
Right.
the Power Rangers, and they ran out of footage from the old one, and...
got some new footage made.
Yeah. And they were using that for a little while, but they didn't have corresponding monster footage.
Right.
So what they had to do was cut scenes from the new with the new Megazord into scenes of the Japanese fighting the old Megazord. So it made for this really stilted sort of...
No one
never
ever got
seen-
to punch anything.
Yeah, you never see
Yeah,
them in
yeah.
the same shot. Now what's happened is the situation's reversed, where they've got proper monster and robot battles, but they don't have the monster fighting the Power Rangers.
Right.
Which is why when Jason fights this monster, he never really interacts with it except for a few pipes flailing out of the screen.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed that. It was odd. It was very
Yeah, so
odd.
we've got this horrible, like, devil's bargain where one part of the
So-
show's been improved and we've lost another part of the
The
show.
good news is it's not always like that.
Yeah.
Some of the costumes were in good enough condition that they sent them over and shot their
Some
own.
American stuff.
But some of them, like Pipe Brain, were either too damaged or had been torn apart to be used for new monsters
Yeah.
or whatever.
Lost in some place.
So couldn't be used. So yeah, this fight is basically Jason fights some putties and some like insulation tubing occasionally
in the
comes
face.
at him from this off the screen.
Yeah.
It was also odd because you never saw the tentacles actually extend from Pipe Brain's body.
No, because Pipe Brain probably didn't have tentacles.
No, he did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not bad. It's a solid, acceptable putty fight.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's cool to see Jason getting, like, a spotlight.
yeah, it's just awkward and disjointed.
It's interesting that, though, this episode is called Missing Green. It is definitely a Jason episode.
Yes.
It's about him as a character, which I thought was really good. They don't do that enough. Is
No.
Take a Ranger, be like, all right, spotlight on him this episode. What's he going through? Where's he at emotionally? Let's give him an episode to work through some stuff.
Would we say that he had emotions, but like beyond seeing Tommy's ghost?
I mean, he definitely had some leadership issues. It's not like it was expertly handled, but it was better than we usually get. So
Right.
I think better than we usually get is a good
Description.
summary of this episode.
Yeah.
So, okay, Lord Zed makes the monster grow,
Yeah.
and we get, oh man.
But we missed a scene with Zordon talking to Jason in the command
Oh
center.
yeah, sorry, we did.
Where Zordon's basically saying that he's in a tough situation now because his friends are trapped in this place. He's on his own. And he sort of addresses the problems that Jason's been having dealing with the whole Green Candle situation.
Yep.
And talks him through the importance of being a leader and having to make hard decisions.
Yep.
And I kind of like the scene.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say about Power Rangers, but it was... it really was just a whole scene about talking through some of Jason's characters, I was
Yeah.
saying before. And we almost never get that, so I was appreciative
I'm with you.
of that scene.
So, so Lord Zed makes Pipe Brain grow.
Yep.
This fight is rad.
It's pretty cool.
So, Jason summons his Red Dragon Thunderzord.
Yep.
It, like, flies around and attacks the monster with its
I
claws.
very much appreciated those.
And then it breathes fire.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
And then it transforms into warrior mode.
Yep.
And
Then he basically defeats Pipe Brain with the power of disco. Is how I saw it.
That basically happened.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
look, there's a bit where, like, he gets kind of caught, tangled up in a tentacle again.
Yeah.
And then draws, like, a staff, I guess.
Yeah.
And severs the tentacle. And then
As one does with a blunt object.
plants the staff and uses it to do like a spinning jump
he like
kick.
vault kicks at him.
Oh yeah!
It's pretty good.
After 20 episodes of like no monsters punching each other,
Yeah.
I've been missing some of this.
Yeah.
And then he's got this move where he holds the staff out, and at his wrist, it just rotates,
Just starts spinning freely. Yeah.
and then
It doesn't quite spin fast enough to really sell it, I don't think, but it's
No.
still a cool move.
I was kind of expecting it would shoot something
Yeah.
rather than he kind of like
Creates
rolled
kind of, like-
forward slowly
yeah.
and then just.
It created a sort of light shield.
Light show.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's too blunt to do any of the explosion damage that we
That's
saw.
very
Yeah.
true.
But I don't care.
You don't care at
This
this
was
point.
so good compared to what we've
I
had.
told you this Megazord is pretty
Yeah,
rad. This
yeah.
is just one of the robots that becomes the Megazord for Young Angharad. So there's multiple of these things that all combine
yeah.
into an even bigger one. It's pretty...
I'm excited.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
good.
yeah. Okay, so Goldar in his Dark Rape Dungeon dimension.
Yeah.
He says the Red Ranger can't save you this. At which point Jason teleports in and says, "Think again, Goldar," which is excellent. Goldar is so terrible. He can't even finish the sentence about how no one can save you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's very clear in this scene, it's not Ossis and John doing the voiceover. We talked about how very soon Ossis and John and a few other actors are going to leave the show over pay disputes. And although they'd already filmed this stuff at this point, they hadn't done the ADR of these suit scenes. So once he was basically fired, unceremoniously, they had to get someone in to come in and do the voiceovers over the top. Which is why someone's doing a very bad Jason impersonation. Which does take away from the scene a little bit, unfortunately.
I wish Jason and Goldar could have a proper sword fight.
Yeah.
They both got swords.
Yeah. But no.
No. Basically, they do a kung fu fight
Yeah.
that is almost entirely just Jason kicking the shit out of Goldar.
Which I appreciate. I mean,
It's-
I could watch a lot of Goldar getting the shit kicked out of him because he fucking deserves it.
It's not very impressive on Goldar's part.
No.
I like how Jason even managed to kick his sword by the blade out of Goldark's hand into the smoke. Like,
So-
how incompetent do you have to be that you can't hold on to your sword?
Oh, he's that incompetent.
I know.
Definitely. So Jason knocks the candles over.
Yep.
They're in like a candle holder. At which point, an enormous wall of flame comes up.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, these candles are maybe like 2-3 centimeters tall at this point.
It doesn't make... Unless there's like natural gas jets in the floor.
Yeah.
That's the only... And
Or everything is covered in, like, really flammable oil.
maybe it is.
It could be. It is a dungeon.
Even so, that the flames had too much velocity to them.
Yeah. They shot up so fast.
Yeah.
And then Goldar goes like... Rah, rah, and teleports away.
No. He says, "You've won the battle, but you'll never win the war," which will always be the tagline of losers. If you say that, you're a loser.
I mean, the thing is, they've won every battle.
Yeah.
They've lost a single battle, maybe.
yeah,
Like,
Which kind of equates to winning the war.
Yeah.
it does. Yeah,
eventually, if you win enough battles, you do win the war.
Yeah.
That's how wars work. So, Jason gets the key and lets the Rangers out of the cage. And, well, he doesn't quite. They're too weak and about to lose their powers. So, they give him their power coins. And I thought that was going to be it, because isn't that how we beat the Green Candle?
I can't remember.
Tommy gave Jason his, like, shield and power coins. And then because it was no longer connected to Tommy, the spell didn't work.
Yeah.
But what he does is he puts the power coins on top of the corresponding candles. And then...
He holds his power coin up above the others.
Between
and
two
you
gold
get
balls.
two balls that look almost like the top of what you'd have on like Tesla coils or something like
Yeah.
that. And then lightning shoots out of his power coin through these balls into the power coins. And it makes the
Rebuilds
candles...
the candle.
Yeah, the candles grow to full size again. And then
And then
teleport
disappear.
away. Yeah.
No, they don't teleport away. They turn into light, which goes into the heart of each ranger
Right, there we go.
to restore their powers.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you're going to tie into an episode that happened, fairly recently, watch it. Like, write down what
one.
happened.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
And if you want to change up the rules, fine. but, explain it a little bit. Just give us the most casual of waves of be like, okay, here's why the rules have changed.
Don't think kids don't care about this shit.
Oh, they do.
Kids care about this shit far more than Matt and I care about this shit, okay? So just...
But I have to say, as a kid, I loved Power Rangers, watched it a lot. Haven't watched it in years, don't remember much. I don't remember ever seeing the plot holes that are now gapingly obvious.
I'm
I
not
wasn't
sure.
a dumb child, I just...
Yeah, it's certainly possible. We'll have to check when we get there, but it may be that it was more consistently written.
Right.
Because Turbo is 4 years away at this point.
Another season... 3, I think.
Three. Yeah. So, and we get some new showrunners and new writers, so it's possible
Right.
that it's not this wonky at that stage. But I guess we'll find out.
Certainly, I think, less wonky.
Yeah.
Anything would be less wonky.
That's
So-
definitely true.
The other Rangers just run into a wall, which is a portal?
Yep.
Sure. As Jason is fleeing, Goldar's back on the floor.
He teleports back, but can't even manage to teleport back standing up.
He grabs Jason's ankle and goes like, "You'll never escape." Jason just kicks him in the face and
And
escapes.
then escapes.
Uh,
It was a beautiful moment.
It is, I think, a very, representative moment for Goldar, in that all he does is manage to grab someone's ankle. That's the level of hindrance he is. He is a grabbed ankle.
He's
that you
slightly
can-
inconvenient.
Yeah, that you can kick off at any moment. That's Goldar for you.
So the other Rangers get a brief moment in the command center of, did Jason make it out okay?
Yeah.
And Zordon's like, no, look, he knew the risks.
He's probably dead.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
So I have some questions.
Yeah.
One, Zordon opened the portal.
Yeah.
If he was trapped there, could he not just open the portal again?
No.
2,
It's like a membrane. A one-way membrane, not a two-way membrane.
2, 10 minutes ago, he was watching what was going on in there. Was he not watching on... It was like...
He got bored.
Days of Our Lives was on. He was flicking back between channels. He missed a bit.
he needs
And then
a
they all
second
came back and
viewing
he's
glow.
like, yeah,
Jason's stuck there.
Jason's probably not coming back. I don't know, guys.
Jason immediately arrives. And everyone's like, oh, yay. So, they found Tommy.
Yep.
It turns out he was exactly where Kim said he would be.
When they say they found him, they mean they're perving on him using the viewing globe. They didn't go
Yeah.
meet him in person.
So, he's writing a letter
Yep.
to Jason.
Not
We're
Kimberly, again.
He's reading the letter aloud as he writes it.
With a lot of reverb.
Is he reading aloud?
He is. His
There's-
lips were moving.
Yeah, we
His lips were
actually
moving.
watch... it's
Alright.
not a voiceover.
Okay.
We see him reading it physically.
Okay, so
Which
he's
I-
one of the
yeah,
people who can't write things without reading them out.
Evidently. I found it really odd because at first you hear the voice and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just in his head.
Yeah.
And then you see his lips move and you're like,
Oh, you're a weird guy.
So this letter is basically, hey boyfriend,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to disappear for a while. Go out and win that karate tournament for me.
Yeah. I believe in you.
Also the others, yeah, whatevs.
Yeah.
Sincerely,
Your
Tommy.
lover, Jason.
Yeah.
No, Tommy, yeah.
Um,
In this scene, though, which I quite liked as a
Yep.
nice touch, he's wearing a bomber jacket,
yep.
but underneath that jacket, he's wearing all white.
Yes, he
which
is.
is a nice bit
He's
of
not in
foreshadowing.
green
Yes.
anymore.
Yeah.
So, clearly at this point they know what's going to happen in a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about how you wouldn't want to wear white pants on grass like that.
No, it's certainly a bad
Yeah.
slight
White Ranger is an uncomfortable Ranger to become because
Yeah.
an all-white wardrobe is difficult to pull off
yeah.
for anyone except like a pimp.
Especially when it's like skin tight. You just don't want to go there.
It's very...
White hides nothing.
We'll learn that, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Good fashion tip.
Yeah.
That's Mighty Morphin Fashion Danger.
Yep.
So Lord Zed says, the more I divide them, the more they come together. Because everyone knows the Power Rangers are homeopathic.
Yes.
The weaker you make them, the stronger they are.
Yeah.
That's just science. And has almost proven to be true.
Yeah, that's
One
true.
Ranger on their own can take out like a dozen putties.
Yeah.
Or 2 Rangers together can take out a dozen putties. Or 5 Rangers together can take out a dozen putties.
And Jason by himself with his one Zord took out the monster with as much ease as the Megazord would.
Yep.
So, yep.
Homeopathy, it works, but only if your powers were given to you by candles and coins. Which may be true for homeopathy. I'm not an expert.
We'll have to look into that one.
Yeah. So Bulk and Skull have got a picture which they need to stop not looking at things before they use them
Yeah.
as proof.
This has happened 10 times now, I'd say.
That seems particularly awkward. Like, if they went to a 1 hour photo place, they would have had the photos for a couple of hours, yet they decided to wait until the moment that everyone was coming up toward them to reveal what the photo was without looking at it at any point beforehand. Like, you would just look before you actually pay for the development.
Absolutely. And I could buy you doing this once because you're really excited and you want to
Yeah.
make the big reveal.
This
On the
is
10th time.
Easily the 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, like, fool you 9 times, shame on the other person.
Yeah.
On the
Fooled
10th
the
time.
10th time won't get fooled again.
That's right.
That's right. And also, so the picture proves that they saw the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
That's not worth anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not their goal. That's not... It's...
And yet they don't even get that. What they get is a shot of the eggs falling onto them, which is, if anything, pretty good shot. Like,
Yeah.
that requires timing.
We watched that happen.
Need to point out continuity, though, when the camera tipped down. It never tipped
Yeah,
up.
there's no way they could have taken the photo that they
No.
took.
Yeah, well, that's something they should be looking into. That's a real mystery.
They've got a magical angle magic camera.
Yeah.
So all the Rangers are at the tournament to cheer Jason on, except Trini. Now, this is nothing to do with their pay dispute.
Right.
Tree Train injured her leg.
Oh,
And so everyone's standing up. She just couldn't pull off the standing up.
all right. Fair enough.
It's got nothing to do with the fact that 3 episodes from now she won't be on the show.
Right.
Although it may seem that
It's
way.
not 3 episodes.
No, but it's not that much longer.
Yeah.
Richie is there.
Oh, I didn't notice Richie.
He's standing with the other Rangers. Richie is a red herring for the White Ranger powers.
Right.
I believe Curtis is also there.
There you go.
And one thing I learned is that the actor playing Curtis does some of the voiceover for Zack when Walter Jones is no longer on the show.
Yep.
So I believe he was actually a sound engineer, like the second sound engineer, who happened to be like a
Really
young
good
black guy
hip-hop kiddo.
who they could just... Because they never had any intention of making him a regular on the show.
Yeah, but
So-
he does pretty good
Oh, yeah, sure.
dance fighting.
You know.
So that's impressive.
Yeah.
Speaking of dance fighting, Jason's quote-unquote karate competition did
Yep.
not feel like karate whatsoever. It was essentially a breakdancing competition.
Basically.
The
Basically-
tournaments in this show...
Sometimes they fight people in tournaments, which is pretty cool. A lot of the
Yeah.
time, they just punch the air.
Yeah.
And
And
then
he's
flip.
super oiled up for this.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
man.
too.
He is proper oily.
He starts quite clean and then they sheen him up. And
Yeah.
When he's outside, he looks like a normal human being.
Yeah.
As soon as he steps indoors, he looks like a statue.
Well, it took him like 2 punches and then they oiled him.
I feel like if this was a show that was in any way for adults, I'd appreciate them throwing that in for the ladies. But it's for primary school kids.
You know, primary school kids can get a bit of that.
No, Michael. That's
Primary
illegal.
school kids shouldn't get a
Not
bit of
like
that.
get a bit of that, but
Oh
like,
my.
they're coming into their sexuality.
No, they're
Aren't
not.
they? I don't
Primary
look.
school
I
kids?
was really young in primary school. I don't know what the
No, what you're meant to say is identify sexuality
I,
really young.
I don't know what the appropriate age for kids to be doing anything is.
We should definitely leave that.
I think that's certainly
We're going
the
to go
place.
with 18
Okay,
that's right.
sure.
and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So Jason finishes his air punching,
Yep.
at which point one of the judges writes something down, and they immediately give him the trophy.
Yeah, the announcer announces the winner,
Yeah.
seemingly without consulting the judges at all.
I like the thought that the announcer is just a dude who's super into Jason.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, Jason's the winner.
Yeah.
Jason.
And the judge is like, no, oh, we're too late.
He's so oily.
Oh, man.
Maybe, like, that's what the Golden Pipe Trophy is. It has nothing really to do with karate. It's about looking good while oiled up. Because that's not a karate trophy. Like, it's not like...
I'm sure there's some kind of innuendo with golden pipe as well.
I bet there is.
Yep.
They all want some of his golden pipe.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely the innuendo. Yeah, you discovered it, Matt.
I did it.
You are the Christopher Columbus of
They
bad
think his
jokes
pipe is
about
golden.
trophies.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode.
That's it. Yeah, like, after last week's train wreck, that was alright.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
So, Tommy's back in a couple of episodes as the White Ranger.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Do you think we're going to see him, like, for the next couple of weeks? Do you think he's sticking around?
I expect we'll see him in little bits like we did this week.
Yeah.
Just because it's 3 weeks, it's not enough for him to like go on holidays because they shot these basically one episode a day, really.
There's certainly a couple of days to an episode.
So it's not like there's any benefit in not having him on the show. So
Fair enough.
I think he'll probably fill in the gaps.
All right. Creature feature.
Yeah.
Pipe Brain.
Yeah. Not amazing.
No.
It's one of those.
But it's about the symbolism because it symbolizes the kind of internal battle that he has between like wanting to save Tommy and be with Tommy and his
Tentacles.
tournament.
And
his
tentacle.
tournament.
Which one did the
Pipes.
tentacles symbolize? No, I know which one the tentacles symbolize. Hold on.
The golden pipe is what the tentacle symbolizes.
It's one of those weird situations where I really liked the Megazord battle,
Yes.
but that really wasn't on Pipe Dream. It had nothing to do with him.
Yep.
So I don't. What's your feeling on this one, Michael?
He's certainly low end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I think.
Not interesting, really. At all.
Not like the terrible, like, bad monster and you should feel bad end, I don't think.
Yeah.
But, lower end. Would you rate him lower than Samurai Fan Man?
No, he had a bit of a gimmick. He had his bottle and his fan, so that was fine.
Okay, lower than Slippery Shark?
Oh,
I think so.
yeah,
Slippery Shark had a whole thing with a boomerang that made people not be friends.
yeah, that's true.
That sounds pretty special.
It was special.
Okay.
Not in the good way.
In between there is Cyclopsis.
Better than Cyclopsis, I think.
Okay.
A little more consistent in his.
What about Fang from The Yolks on You? That was the slightly racist monster who wanted the Goonie Bird eggs.
I hate love that guy. You know.
What about between Cyclopsis and Fang?
All right, let's do that.
How does that sound? Okay. Now, last week, we adjusted Goldar's ranking.
Yeah.
So that he was now number 99 out of 67.
Yeah.
With only the Dark Rangers below him.
Yep.
Are we dropping him below the Dark Rangers?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Like he's where he deserves to be.
sure.
I think he can't really drop any further until he redeems himself. That's the only way he could change his position.
Okay.
But I don't see that.
Or
happening.
we get 30 more monsters and have to push him even lower
Sure.
to represent.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you have anything else you want to say about this week?
No. Did we last week we had an email that we were going to read after we watched Missing Green?
Yeah, let's do that next week.
Okay, no worries.
So next week is episode 75.
Yep.
It has the best title of an episode yet. It is called Orchestral Maneuvers in the Park.
Ooh.
Yeah, right?
Ooh.
So that's going to be incredibly disappointing and not feature any orchestras, I suspect. I think we'll see a music monster, probably.
They definitely can't afford an orchestra on this show.
They can afford one dude with a tuba, maybe.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. I hope you join us for the next one.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. And we'll be back next week.